time to drop.
Welcome back to the Hennisphere, everyone. It's time for a pretty special week. This is going to be a week filled with coaster rankings, and they're all going to be from Six Flags Fiesta Texas. It's finally time that I rank every coaster in the park. Now, I've already ranked Goliath in my Batman's clone video, and I'm not going to rank the kiddie coaster because I don't really see the point. So all the other coasters will be ranked, and today is officially day number 1. There will be 8 videos in 8 days with these rankings. Today's coaster is Pandemonium, the spinning coaster in the boardwalk section of the park. It's made by Gerstlauer. There will also be another video this week for the 2020 announcement from Six Flags Fiesta Texas. I will be there covering it. I will upload a video that night, so subscribe if you want that coverage. I will report it to you the night it's announced. The exact model of this ride is a 420/4 extended version. This is a clone. There are lots of them like this 420/4 models, but the other ones have a little bit different layout towards the end of the ride, kind of where like the Tony Hawk skateboard ramp area was with the little floating hills, rolling hills. That is a little different, and then going back to the station, there's extra helix and whatnot on this one. Not all of them have that. Some of the stats of this ride: it is 1,300 feet long, 48 feet tall. A drop is listed at 27 feet. I'm assuming that's the first drop right off the lift hill. And the speed is only 31 miles an hour. There are no inversions. So I'm starting off with this coaster just because I think it's one of the supporting ones. I will get to the major coasters of this park later on in the week, but we've got to start somewhere. So this will be the appetizer. Let's jump into the coaster enthusiast category. The height, ranking this on a scale of 0 to 10, 48 feet is very, very short. So this only gets a 3 out of 10. That's the worst I've ever given for this category. Next is speed. 31 miles per hour is slow compared to every other coaster I've ranked. So again, this gets a 3 out of 10. And that's the worst I've ever given for that category. Drops. There are a couple of drops on this ride, not just the one off the lift. Later on, after you get through the third block break or mid-course, there's a really good airtime moment coming off of that as you approach the final helix. It really whips you down off of that mid-course and then up into the next hill. So that is my favorite part of the ride, actually. This will earn a 4 out of 10. G-forces. Depending on how much you spin, you could get a lot of G-force, but I usually don't feel that many positive G's on this ride. Negative G's, there isn't a whole lot. But if you're sitting with someone next to you and no one is across from you, you're going to spin a lot more. And you can feel some positive G's. But the spinning actually, while it creates some positive G's, it actually deadens them because you're moving away from the train, as in the forces are directed outward and sometimes you're moving outward too, and so the forces are inconsistent. You might feel it for a little bit of a helix, but not the entire thing. So that gets a 5 out of 10, which is completely average. Wow factor. Wow factor on this is, well, it's not really there. No one really sees this and says, oh man, I need to ride that. That looks insane. No, most of us understand that this is a cloned ride, so that really hurts it in this category. It's only going to get a 4 out of 10. Adding up those 5 categories for the coaster enthusiast, you get a 19 out of 50, which is by far the worst score ever received on my scale. Next, we move on to the general public categories. We'll start with the theming, and this used to have some theming because it was Tony Hawk's Big Spin, and then it was just called Big Spin. Now it's Pandemonium. There's no theme, so it gets a 3 out of 10. Restraints. There's just a simple lap bar that comes up in between your legs. It doesn't always staple you, but it can. The seats are fine. You have plenty of upper body freedom of movement, so I don't have any complaints. This gets an 8 out of 10. The layout. If you think of this as a normal sit-down coaster without any spinning cars, the layout is really boring. You've got some banked downward turns, some helixes going down, some helixes going up, some section of typical Wild Mouse track, some kind of lazy bunny hills towards the end of the ride, and then a nice drop and then another helix. So there's not a whole lot there. There are no inversions. It's just really not an exciting layout. 5 out of 10, average. The length. It's only 1,300 feet long, which means it's short. It's almost a glorified kiddie coaster. I kind of feel like this is more of a kiddie coaster than a thrill coaster. It only gets a 4 out of 10. And last, smoothness. There's only one car, so the ride is the same in any seat. And I have no complaints, so this will get an 8 out of 10. It's smooth. Adding up these 5 categories for the general public scores, and you get 28 out of 50, which is about average. Adding this to the 19 points from the first half of the scoring, and you get 47 out of 100. This is pretty bad. This is the lowest score I've ever given on my ranking scale. So 47, that's where this thing ranks. Dead last. This score also goes for Pandemonium at Six Flags over Texas and Spinning Dragons at Worlds of Fun. Even though the one over Texas is a couple feet taller and the Worlds of Fun model is slightly different, it doesn't have any effect on the overall score. 47 out of 100. Now, tomorrow I will be ranking the Boomerang clones, so stay tuned to see if that becomes the worst coaster ever ranked, because the track record of that ride and just the feelings about Boomerang clones among everyone, feelings are pretty bad towards that, so we'll see where those rank tomorrow. But anyway, we are approaching 1,000 subscribers still. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Many things will happen once we hit that landmark. That was day 1 of Fiesta Texas Coaster Rankings. Stay tuned for day 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally day 8 coming next week. And that was another day in the Hennisphere.